Alright, I've got this box of Ravnica Remastered, and it's time to get to cracking. Very well, Lucy, I shall entertain you. Hi Veronica. I don't actually need any entertainment. That's actually my job. What do you mean? You and yours have been begging me to play Elder Dragon Highlander for the longest time. Despite the format being absolutely bursting with cards against the very spirit of the game we play, I shall give it an attempt. Well, I wouldn't say that, but what if I happen to have an idea for a format that not only brought back the nostalgia of how Commander used to be played, but also gave me a use for this box of Ravnica Remastered I have here? I would tell you to start the video you're inevitably going to make about this and tell me already. You know me all too well. Have you felt like your Commander games are becoming stale? Has the deluge of cards designed for the format made you yawn? Are you addicted to cardboard crack, but you don't really have a big enough playgroup to draft, so you're just left to crack packs with no value? Well, stay tuned, because I might have just the thing for you. Good evening, darlings and deviants. My name is Lucy, and I'm just a little loony. I've been craving those old days of Commander where you'd open up a pack, see a janky rare, and instead of tossing it in the trash, your eyes would light up and go, wow, this is super playable in Commander. So, with the release of Ravnica Remastered, I thought I'd start this year with a cool new challenge. I call it the Yearly Boxmander Challenge. Let me explain. So if you've ever been to a Command Fest, it's a convention where it's basically designed for Commander players. Yes, those do exist, and yes, if you're just learning about it today, you're welcome. Some of them have an option to purchase a box of the latest set in addition to your ticket and participate in Commander Boxing League events throughout the con. You build a Commander deck out of the cards you open in the box, and you can play in events with it throughout the entire weekend. It forces you to stretch your definitions of what playable is and get creative with deck building. But why should only people who can make it to one of these conventions have all the fun? And what if we want to play these Commander decks with other people and throughout the year? Well, I think I have just the solution. If you're going to be buying a box normally, let's try to give this a shot. The Yearly Boxmander Challenge is basically just one big sealed deck challenge, but for Commander. Every single card you use has to be opened from the boxes you pick up. Yes, that includes legendaries. No legendaries from outside the boxes that you open. But what about Soul Ring? What about Arcane Signet? What about basic lands? That's the best part, dear viewer. You either have to wait until there's a Commander set that prints them, or, just don't play Soul Ring. Liberating, ain't it? But for real, you can use basic lands if you want. Like, it'd be 5 or 6 sets before you even have enough basics to build a multicolored deck. Just use the basics you want. I will, of course, be participating in this as well because, I think it's fun and I came up with it. So recently, I streamed using my multi-dimensional streaming camera and opened up a box of Ravnica Remastered. Sadly, it seems that one of Gruff's Aurochs was chewing on the audio cable, so it's a bit rough. But if you want to see all the stuff I opened up, check it out. Plus, some members of my lovely audience, just like you, helped me build some of the decks that we're going to talk about. But before I talk about the decks overall, I want to talk about some of the specific cards that we opened up and my thought process behind, the initial thoughts. In terms of legendaries, I opened up Prime Speaker Zagana, Karlov of the Ghost Council, 2 copies of Lazav the Multifarious, Lavinia, Azorius Renegade, Savra, Queen of the Golgari, and Engi Bobobo. Those are all really cool commanders with their own uses, but a commander alone doesn't make a deck, so what did I open to build around? Well, the highlights easily were Liliana Dreadhorde General, an old school Cyclonic Rift, and an anime art version of Divine Visitation. 3 very powerful cards. We also had some solid Commander staples like Birds of Paradise, Blind Obedience, a few copy enchantments, and 4 Shocklands. We got a Breeding Pool, Steam Vents, a Water Grave, and a Blood Crypt. And as a super lucky moment, we got one of each signet. The mana fixing in this set was a big reason why I came up with this idea, because starting off with this, it means now as we open sets throughout the year, we have easier ways to cast all of our spells. And with ramp cards like Farseek and Utopia Sprawl, we're getting more and more options as the year goes on. However, despite all of these super strong cards, we have a bit of a problem. We only have so many of them. There's only so many rares you can open up in a box, There's so many cards in this set, but many of them are multicolored, meaning we can't just throw the best cards that we open into a deck and call it a day. We gotta go big brain mode.
This is big brain time.
Which mainly means we gotta fill the deck with draft chaff. So, let me give you a rundown on the decks me and your fellow members of my lovely audience helped me put together. The first thing I thought of building was a deck around Lazav first. It's a blue-black, which means we can put together some of the best cards we opened up and hope the whole strategy sort of works. However, Lazav's ability isn't really amazing when you don't have the super cool creatures to put into your graveyard or loads of self-mill, and since we need to play more lands to compensate for the lack of ramp, we'll be relying on our commander more so than a normal commander deck would at this early stage in the challenge. So we're not building him yet. Maybe if we can get some cooler stuff later, who knows. The next most obvious one to build was Karlov. While we didn't open up the Shockland to support him, we did get a hold of a bunch of cards that gain life, like Kaya or Zavu Usurper. We also got a bunch of cards like Basilica Defenders and Blind Obedience with Extort, meaning we're gaining even more life. After that, we start kind of needing to stretch how good the cards are. Ill-Gotten Inheritance lets us repeatedly gain life, and Bulwark Giant, she gains life? Yeah, they're not all bangers. On the other end of things, we have Prime Speaker Zagana. Having card draw in the command zone for something like this is fantastic, and with cards like Coiling Oracle, Utopia Sprawl, Sphinx Signet, and Farseek, we'll have plenty of mana to deal with her huge cost. But that's about it. Kiora's Dampbreaker is probably the second best card we have to ramp into, letting us put counters on our stuff like Experiment 1 and Cloudfin Raptor. We're also playing the 4 copies of Persistent Petitioners that we opened because we need to fill up space, and I do not want to play Junkmonger. Oh, and speaking of, we have some solid all-star colorless cards that actually got put into both decks, and they're actually better than expected for something like this. Voyager's Staff is a colorless Flicker Wisp effect for only a total of 3 mana split over 2 turns ideally, and Civic Saber exists. Look, we're trying really hard for playables here. All in all, don't be afraid to give this a shot. I'll be keeping everyone posted as the decks evolve and I go through this journey. I wanted to sort of rekindle that old school Commander feeling of just building what you had. No precon decks, no cards printed for Commander, no super expensive staples, just whatever we're opening up from our packs. And hey, if you want to try to spark that feeling, then come and join me. I'll be talking about the challenge on Twitter and on the community tab, and I'll probably be making a couple more videos on it as more sets come out throughout the year. And in a few short weeks, we'll be adding a box of Murders at Karlov Manor. Oh dear, that's gonna hurt my wallet. Wait a minute, Karlov Manor. That reminds me! So Veronica, how's that sound? Seem like something you'd be interested in? I'll admit it seems intriguing. Very well, I'll take a look into it. Might as well, since I'm stuck here after all. Oh, right! That reminds me. What are you... Veronica von Vladimir. By the ancient magics of infinite multiverses, I hereby shatter your chains. Be beholden to none. What? How did you... Oh boy, reciting ancient magic sure takes a lot out of a girl. But you should be free now, so it's all worth it. The spell binding me here is ancient magic beyond belief, and the energies required to cast a spell that could even begin to break it would be unfathomable. How in the hells did you cast it? A magician doesn't reveal her secrets, Vivi. People always arrive at my circus looking for something, and I know you're no different. Maybe you needed a counterspell, and I just happen to have 2 blue up. Well, thank you, I suppose. Regardless, I suppose I'll stay around for a while longer. This place has grown on me after all. Akin to a fungus, perhaps, but grown on me nevertheless. We are happy to have you, Veronica. Oh shoot, I was in the middle of something. Sorry about that. I'm pretty scatterbrained, huh? Anyway, if you enjoyed the show, be sure to watch another video and subscribe. It lets me know that I'm doing a good job and it keeps this show on the road. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, au revoir!